The sun filtered through the grand windows of Daniel Blake's penthouse, casting a warm glow over the sleek marble floors and polished wood accents. He stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling mirror, adjusting his tie with practiced precision, the reflection staring back at him a portrait of success. At 35, Daniel was the epitome of the self-made millionaire, wealthy, handsome, and seemingly unstoppable. Yet, as he buttoned his tailored suit jacket, a heaviness settled in his chest, an emptiness he could never quite shake. Despite the accolades, the opulent parties, and the endless stream of business opportunities, he felt a disconnection from it all. His life, filled with luxury, lacked authenticity. "Mr. Blake, your car is ready," his assistant called from the doorway, interrupting his thoughts. "Thanks, Rachel," he replied, forcing a smile as he grabbed his briefcase. She was efficient, always punctual, yet he sensed the hollowness in their exchanges, a reflection of the superficiality that surrounded him. As he stepped into the elevator, Daniel's mind drifted to the letter he had received earlier that morning, an envelope marked with a return address he didn't recognize. The contents had remained unopened, but the weight of it felt ominous. The elevator doors slid open, revealing the bustling streets of Manhattan. As Daniel climbed into his waiting car, he watched the cityscape blur by, a mosaic of lives intertwined yet distant from his own. Today, he had meetings lined up with investors, but part of him longed for something more than profit margins and balance sheets. His driver navigated through traffic, and Daniel's thoughts wandered back to his childhood, a past filled with laughter, love, and memories that seemed so far away now. He had inherited the family business, but the more he delved into it, the more he felt shackled by expectations. His parents had built an empire, yet he was beginning to wonder if it was one he truly wanted to carry forward. The car pulled up outside a quaint diner, one of his guilty pleasures. Here, he could escape the pressures of his world, if only for a moment. Stepping inside, the familiar sound of clinking dishes and chatter enveloped him like a warm embrace. "Daniel! The usual?" Emma Carter, the waitress, greeted him with a bright smile that momentarily lifted his spirits. "Make it a double today, Emma," he replied, his smile genuine for the first time that morning. As she hurried away, Daniel took a seat at his favorite booth, the one tucked in the corner by the window. He watched as Emma moved between tables, her energy infectious. There was something about her, an authenticity that he found refreshing amidst the fabricated smiles of his social circle. Emma returned with his coffee, her hazel eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Here you go. Need anything else?" "No, this is perfect," he said, savoring the rich aroma. As they chatted about the diner's specials and her art classes, Daniel felt a connection he hadn't experienced in ages. Their laughter echoed around them, a stark contrast to the sterile boardrooms he was used to. But as their conversation deepened, a flicker of something else crossed Emma's face, a brief shadow of worry. Daniel noticed, his curiosity piqued. "Everything okay?" Emma hesitated, biting her lip before answering. "Just a lot going on, you know? Life can be a bit overwhelming." Before he could respond, she glanced at the door, her expression shifting as if something or someone had caught her attention. Daniel followed her gaze but saw only the ordinary hustle of patrons. "Just remember," he said, trying to offer reassurance, "it's okay to lean on others sometimes." Emma's smile returned, though it seemed tinged with something unspoken. "Thanks, Daniel. That means a lot." As they finished their conversation, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that Emma held a secret, one that might just intertwine their lives in ways neither of them could foresee. Later that day, as he prepared for the board meeting, the unease he had felt all morning resurfaced. He glanced at the unopened letter on his desk, its weight still pressing on him. Maybe it was time to uncover the truths he had been avoiding, about his life, his family, and maybe even the girl who had unexpectedly brightened his world. And so, the stage was set for a revelation that would change everything. Days passed, and Daniel found himself returning to the diner more frequently. Each visit brought an unexpected comfort. Emma was a ray of sunshine amidst the chaos of his world, her laughter resonating like music in his otherwise sterile life. The diner became a refuge where he could momentarily forget about board meetings, investment strategies, and family expectations. It was another rainy Tuesday afternoon when Daniel walked into the diner, shaking off his umbrella as he entered. The smell of fresh coffee and bacon filled the air, and he spotted Emma behind the counter, serving customers with her usual enthusiasm. "Hey, you? Back for more?" she called out, a playful glint in her eye. "Always," he replied with a smile, settling into his favorite booth. "But this time I'll have something different. Surprise me." Emma raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "A challenge, huh? I like it. One surprise coming up." As she moved away to prepare his meal, Daniel gazed out the window, watching the raindrops race down the glass. He reflected on the unusual connection he felt with Emma. It was more than just her infectious energy. It was as if she saw through the facade he wore, recognizing the man beneath the suit. He found himself wanting to share more about himself, to peel back the layers he had carefully constructed over the years. Moments later, Emma returned with a plate stacked high with pancakes drizzled in maple syrup, topped with fresh berries. "Ta-da! Pancake special! My secret recipe!" Daniel's eyes lit up. "This looks amazing. You're full of surprises." "Just wait until you taste it," she said, taking a seat across from him for a moment. "So, what's a millionaire like you doing in a place like this?" He chuckled, feeling the familiar tension of his dual life. "You'd be surprised. This place has better food than most five-star restaurants, and the atmosphere is genuine. Plus, I like the company." Emma's cheeks flushed slightly. "Flattery will get you everywhere, Mr. Blake." As they shared a laugh, Daniel caught a glimpse of her genuine smile, a warmth that drew him in. He was struck by the idea that perhaps, beneath the surface of their disparate worlds, there were common threads waiting to be unraveled. But just as he was about to dive deeper into conversation, the bell above the diner door jingled, interrupting their moment. A tall, imposing man entered, exuding an air of authority that instantly changed the room's energy. Daniel recognized him. He was a former associate of his father's, someone he had hoped to avoid. "Daniel Blake," the man called, striding toward the booth with a predatory gleam in his eye. "What a surprise to see you here." Daniel's heart sank. "Marcus, what brings you to this part of town?" Marcus smirked, glancing briefly at Emma, who was now standing by the counter, her demeanor shifting from relaxed to tense. "Just passing through. Thought I'd drop in on an old friend. We need to talk about your father's legacy." Daniel's stomach twisted at the mention of his father. "I'm busy right now," he replied curtly, hoping to dismiss him. "Oh, I think you'll want to hear what I have to say," Marcus pressed, leaning closer. "There are some matters regarding the company that are best discussed in private." Emma, sensing the rising tension, quietly moved back to the counter but kept an eye on the interaction. Daniel could feel the weight of Marcus's gaze, a reminder of the corporate world he was desperate to escape. "Let's talk later," Daniel insisted, his patience wearing thin. "I'm really not interested." Marcus chuckled, undeterred. "You should be. Your father's affairs are complicated. And trust me, you don't want to be blindsided." As the conversation continued, Daniel's mind raced. He had left that world behind for a reason, but Marcus's presence threatened to pull him back in. He looked over at Emma, who was now watching them with concern. Her warm smile had vanished, replaced by an anxious frown. "Do you need any help, Daniel?" she called out, her voice cutting through the tension. Daniel shook his head slightly, wanting to protect her from this unwelcome intrusion. "I'm fine, Emma. Just a business matter." But Marcus's eyes lit up with amusement as he turned toward her. "Ah, I see you've made some friends in low places, Daniel. How charming." Daniel felt a surge of anger, a protective instinct igniting within him. "This isn't the time, Marcus. Whatever you think you know, it can wait." "Can it?" Marcus shot back, his tone laced with venom. "I think you'll find that some secrets can't be buried, especially in your family." The air grew thick with unspoken words, and Daniel's heart raced as he struggled to keep his composure. The weight of Marcus's insinuations pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. Just then, the door swung open again, and a rush of wind followed a figure dressed in a long coat. A woman with striking features stepped inside, shaking off the rain as she scanned the diner. Daniel's heart skipped a beat as he recognized her from his past, a distant memory suddenly resurfacing. "Daniel," the woman said, her voice smooth but carrying an edge. "We need to talk." Daniel's world tilted as he looked from Marcus to the newcomer. Emma's expression shifted from confusion to alarm, sensing the brewing storm. "Who's this?" Emma asked, her voice laced with concern. But before Daniel could respond, Marcus took a step back, a satisfied smile creeping across his face. "Looks like the past has a way of catching up to you, Daniel. Enjoy your little diner retreat while you can." The tension in the air crackled like static electricity as Daniel struggled to process the whirlwind of events. Emma looked between them, uncertainty in her eyes. As Marcus retreated, Daniel felt the weight of secrets closing in. He turned to Emma, the urgency in his voice palpable. "I need to explain everything." But, as he spoke, a nagging question lingered in his mind. What other secrets lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? As the diner's atmosphere shifted from casual to charged with uncertainty, Daniel felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Emma's eyes flickered between curiosity and concern, and he knew he couldn't hide the truth any longer. "Emma," he began, lowering his voice as the clamor of the diner continued around them. "There's something I need to tell you about my family, and about why Marcus was here." She nodded, her expression serious. "Okay, I'm listening." Daniel took a deep breath, piecing together the words that had eluded him for so long. "My father was a powerful man in the business world, but there were always whispers, secrets he kept hidden, even from me. I thought I knew everything, but after seeing Marcus today I realize how wrong I was." Emma's brow furrowed. What kind of secrets? He hesitated, glancing around to ensure no one was eavesdropping. "I received a letter this morning. It had a strange return address, one I didn't recognize. I've been trying to dismiss it, but it felt important. And now, with Marcus showing up, I can't shake the feeling that it's all connected." Emma leaned in, her interest piqued. "What did the letter say?" "I haven't opened it yet," he admitted, feeling a rush of embarrassment. "But I think it holds the key to understanding my family's past, and possibly my own identity." Emma reached across the table, her hand gently resting on his. "You can't let fear hold you back, Daniel. You need to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be." His gaze met hers, and in that moment, he felt a flicker of hope. Emma's encouragement was like a lifeline, pulling him from the shadows of doubt. "You're right. I need to face this head-on." With newfound determination, he pulled out the letter from his pocket, the envelope still sealed. "I'm going to open it now. Whatever it says, I'll deal with it." As he tore the envelope open, Emma leaned closer, her curiosity palpable. The moment felt monumental, as if the very air around them had thickened with anticipation. He unfolded the letter, scanning the elegant script that adorned the page. "Dear Daniel, if you're reading this, it means I've finally found the courage to reach out. You have the right to know the truth about your mother's past. It's time to uncover the secrets that have haunted our family for generations." His heart raced, and he glanced at Emma, who was now holding her breath in suspense. "There are ties to a life you've never known, one that holds the answers to who you really are. Meet me at the old family estate, and I will reveal everything." Daniel's pulse quickened as he read the final words. The letter was signed only with the initials A.S. A chill ran down his spine as realization washed over him. "Who is A.S.?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," he replied, his mind racing, "but I need to find out." Just then, the diner door swung open again, and Daniel's heart sank as he recognized the figure standing in the doorway, the woman he had seen earlier, her expression one of urgency. "Daniel!" she called out, her voice cutting through the chatter of the diner. "We need to talk, now." Emma exchanged a worried glance with Daniel, sensing the weight of the moment. Daniel rose from the booth, instinctively placing himself between Emma and the newcomer. "What do you want?" Daniel demanded, his tone firm but edged with uncertainty. The woman stepped forward, her eyes darting around the diner before locking onto his. I'm here to help you uncover the truth. There's more to your family than you realize. Emma looked from Daniel to the woman, confusion written across her face. What do you mean? The woman took a deep breath, her expression softening. I can explain everything, but we can't do it here. It's not safe. Daniel's heart raced as he considered his options. Part of him wanted to dismiss her outright, but the other part, the part that had been yearning for answers, couldn't ignore the urgency in her voice. Fine, he said, his resolve solidifying. Let's talk outside. As they stepped out into the rain-soaked street, Emma followed closely, her instincts urging her to stay close to Daniel. The atmosphere shifted, the city feeling more ominous now, as if shadows were gathering around them. Once outside, Daniel turned to face the woman. Who are you? And what do you know about my family? I'm Amelia, she said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. I was your mother's closest friend. There are things she never told you, secrets that could change everything. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. My mother? Why didn't she ever mention you? Amelia looked down, her expression filled with regret. She was protecting you from the truth. Your family's past is dark, Daniel, and she wanted to shield you from it. Then why are you here now? Daniel pressed, frustration mingling with curiosity. Because your mother is gone, and the secrets are no longer safe. It's time for you to know who you really are. As Amelia spoke, Daniel felt a whirlwind of emotions, a mix of anger, confusion, and an overwhelming desire to uncover the truth. He glanced at Emma, who was watching the exchange with concern, and knew he had to choose his next words carefully. Okay, Daniel said, determination hardening in his voice. I'm ready to hear it. Whatever it is, I can handle it. Amelia nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of sympathy and urgency. Let's get out of here. There's much to discuss, and time is of the essence. With that, they moved down the street, Daniel feeling the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. As they walked, he knew this was the beginning of a journey that would unravel everything he thought he knew about his family, his past, and ultimately, himself. The rain fell steadily as Daniel, Emma, and Amelia found shelter beneath a nearby awning. The dim light cast shadows on their faces, the tension palpable as Daniel turned to Amelia, ready to delve into the depths of his family's hidden past. Where do we even begin? He asked, his voice steady but laced with uncertainty. Amelia took a moment, collecting her thoughts before speaking. We need to start with your mother. She was part of a world that was deeply intertwined with secrecy and betrayal. You may not have known it, but your family's legacy is more complicated than you can imagine. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. What do you mean? What kind of world? Amelia's gaze intensified. Your mother came from a powerful lineage. There were expectations, alliances, and conflicts that you were sheltered from, but there were also dangers, ones that ultimately led to her decision to leave that life behind. Daniel's mind raced. Leave? Why would she leave? She had everything. Did she, though? Amelia countered, her expression softening. Sometimes wealth comes at a cost. Your mother had to choose between protecting you and being part of that world. It wasn't easy for her. Emma, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke up. But why did she never tell Daniel? Why keep it a secret? Because she wanted to protect him, Amelia replied, her tone earnest. But now that she's gone, the past is resurfacing, and the danger isn't over. There are people who want to silence the truth. The implications of Amelia's words hung heavy in the air. Daniel felt the weight of his mother's choices pressing down on him. And what about my father? Did he know? Amelia hesitated, her eyes clouded with emotion. He knew some of it, but like your mother, he was trying to shield you from the darkness of their past. Daniel's heart raced. The thought of his parents living a life filled with secrets was unsettling. He had always viewed them as his anchors, the foundation of his world, but now their legacy felt like a house of cards ready to collapse. What do we do now? He asked, his voice low. Now we confront the truth, Amelia replied firmly. But first, we need to gather evidence. I have contacts who can help us piece together the puzzle." Daniel nodded, a mix of apprehension and determination swelling within him. "I want to do this. I need to know everything." As they stood in the rain, Emma squeezed his hand, offering silent support. "We're in this together," she said softly, grounding him in the moment. "Thank you," Daniel replied, grateful for her presence. "I don't know what I would do without you." Amelia smiled faintly. "You're stronger than you think, Daniel. It's time to reclaim your story." With that, they stepped away from the awning, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The rain continued to fall, but it felt cleansing, as if washing away the facade that had once defined Daniel's life. The following days were a blur of activity as Daniel, Emma, and Amelia worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. They met with contacts, delved into family archives, and pieced together the fragments of his mother's past. Each revelation brought them closer to understanding the tangled web of secrets that surrounded Daniel's family. It was a chilly Thursday evening when they gathered in Daniel's penthouse to review what they had found. The walls of the luxurious space felt stifling, the weight of impending revelations pressing down on him. "Okay, so what do we have?" Daniel asked, looking at the documents spread out on the polished table. Amelia sorted through the papers, her expression serious. "We've traced your mother's lineage back several generations. It seems your family was involved in some rather questionable dealings." Daniel's heart sank. "Questionable how?" "Your grandfather was connected to a powerful syndicate," she replied, her voice steady. "They dealt in things that could ruin reputations, and they had enemies everywhere. Your mother escaped that life, but not without consequences." "What kind of consequences?" Emma interjected, her brow furrowing in concern. "Threats, intimidation. Your mother lived in fear of what might happen if the past caught up with her," Amelia explained. "She made sacrifices to protect you, Daniel. Leaving that life was only the first step." Daniel leaned back in his chair, trying to process the information. "So, what does this mean for me? Are there still people who want to silence us?" Amelia's gaze darkened. "Yes. There are remnants of that world still lurking, and they won't hesitate to eliminate anyone who threatens to expose their secrets." The tension in the room thickened, and Daniel's heart raced. He had wanted answers, but now that he had them, the reality of the situation felt overwhelming. "What do we do?" Emma asked, her voice trembling slightly. "We need to be cautious," Amelia advised. "We should gather all the evidence we can and consider how to protect ourselves, but first we need to confront Marcus. He's the key to unraveling the remaining pieces." Daniel nodded, determination igniting within him. "If he knows anything, I won't let him hide it." As they strategized, a sense of urgency filled the air. They decided to confront Marcus the following day, knowing that the encounter would likely be tense and unpredictable. Daniel's mind raced with possibilities, and as the night wore on, he struggled to find sleep. The next day dawned gray and foreboding, mirroring the storm of emotions brewing within Daniel. He felt a mixture of apprehension and resolve as he prepared for the confrontation with Marcus. The stakes had never been higher, and he knew he needed to stay focused. Emma met him at the diner, where they planned to wait for Marcus. She was dressed casually, her eyes reflecting her concern. "You ready for this?" she asked, her voice steady. "As ready as I'll ever be," Daniel replied, forcing a smile, "but I have to know what he's hiding." As they took a booth in the back, Daniel noticed a familiar figure entering the diner, Marcus. He strode in confidently, his presence commanding attention. Daniel's heart raced as he gestured for Emma to stay put. "Let me handle this," he said, rising from the table. Marcus approached, a smirk playing on his lips as he took a seat across from Daniel. Well, if it isn't the prodigal son, I didn't think you'd come." "I'm here for answers," Daniel stated bluntly, locking eyes with Marcus. "I know you have information about my family." "Oh, I do," Marcus replied, leaning back in his seat. "But you're not going to like what you hear." "Try me," Daniel challenged, his pulse quickening. Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. "Your mother was a brilliant woman, but she made mistakes. She thought she could escape her past, but the truth always catches up. You should know that by now. Daniel's fists clenched under the table. What do you mean? What did she do? Your mother was involved in things far beyond what you can imagine, Marcus replied, his tone condescending. And she didn't just leave behind her past. She abandoned her responsibilities. Responsibilities? What are you talking about? Daniel pressed, frustration bubbling to the surface. Your mother had connections, people who expected loyalty. When she chose you over them, she put a target on your back. You're a liability, Daniel, Marcus said, his eyes gleaming with malice. Daniel felt the air leave his lungs, the weight of Marcus's words crashing down on him. You're lying. Am I? Marcus leaned in closer, lowering his voice. You think you can just waltz into the world of high finance and ignore the consequences of your lineage? There are people who want retribution. Daniel's mind raced, fighting against the wave of emotions crashing over him. You think I'll let you intimidate me? I know the truth now. My mother made sacrifices to protect me. Marcus smirked, unfazed. Sacrifices? Or foolish choices? It's all the same when you're dealing with the kind of people who don't take kindly to betrayal. The tension between them was electric, and Daniel could feel the eyes of other patrons on them. He had to regain control of the situation. I'm not afraid of you, Marcus. I'll uncover the truth, with or without your help, he declared, his voice steady. Good luck with that, Marcus sneered, rising from the table. But remember, Daniel, some truths are better left buried. With that, Marcus turned and walked away, leaving Daniel seething with anger and confusion. As he returned to Emma, he felt a mix of defeat and determination. What did he say? Emma asked, concern etched on her face. He's trying to scare me, Daniel replied, frustration lacing his tone. But I won't back down. I need to find out what really happened. Emma reached across the table, her hand warm and reassuring. You're not alone in this, Daniel. We'll figure it out together. The days that followed were a whirlwind of research and digging into the family's dark history. Daniel, Emma, and Amelia worked tirelessly, piecing together the fragments of his mother's past, while Daniel's resolve grew stronger. One evening, as they gathered in Daniel's penthouse, he felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. They had discovered more about the syndicate his mother was involved with and the implications it had for his family. Look at this, Amelia said, spreading a series of photographs across the table. These were taken at a charity gala your parents attended years ago. Notice anything? Daniel leaned in closer, studying the images. Those men. They look familiar. Who are they? They were key players in the syndicate. Your mother was involved with them before she left that life, Amelia explained. This could explain why she cut ties. They were dangerous. Emma, who had been quietly examining the photos, suddenly looked up. What if she was trying to protect you from them? What if they're still watching? Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. The thought that his family's past could still threaten his future was unsettling. So, what do we do now? How do we ensure our safety? Amelia's eyes gleamed with determination. We gather more evidence and figure out a way to confront them, but we need to be careful. They won't take kindly to anyone digging into their affairs. That night, Daniel found himself unable to sleep. He paced the floor, wrestling with the weight of the revelations that had come to light. His mother's choices had shaped his life in ways he never could have imagined, and now it felt like he was standing at the edge of a precipice, peering into an abyss of uncertainty. In the darkness, a knock at the door startled him. He opened it to find Emma, her expression a mix of concern and empathy. "Can't sleep?" she asked softly, stepping inside. "No," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "There's too much on my mind." Emma moved closer, her presence calming. "Want to talk about it?" Daniel hesitated, his emotions swirling. I can't shake the feeling that I'm in over my head. What if I uncover something that puts us all in danger?" Emma took his hands in hers, her grip steady. "You're not alone, Daniel. We're in this together, remember? You've got me, and Amelia too. We'll figure it out." Her reassurance melted some of his anxiety, and he nodded, grateful for her support. "Thanks, Emma. I don't know what I'd do without you." As they stood there, their hands intertwined, Daniel felt a warmth blossom within him, a connection that transcended the chaos surrounding them. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there was light to be found in shared experiences and unwavering support. But as the days passed, the stakes grew higher. Amelia received an anonymous tip about a meeting between the syndicate members, and Daniel knew they had to act fast. It was their chance to confront the ghosts of his family's past and put an end to the cycle of fear that had haunted them for too long. "Tomorrow night," Daniel said, his resolve strengthening. "We're going to the meeting. We'll gather the evidence we need." Emma's eyes widened. "Are you sure? It could be dangerous." "I know," he replied, determination lacing his words. "But I have to face this. I can't let fear dictate my life any longer." As they prepared for the impending confrontation, Daniel knew the path ahead would be fraught with danger. But he was ready to reclaim his life, uncover the truth, and confront the shadows of his family's legacy. The evening of the meeting arrived, cloaked in a shroud of uncertainty. Daniel, Emma, and Amelia gathered at the location, a dimly lit warehouse on the outskirts of the city, hidden away from prying eyes. The air was thick with tension, and Daniel's heart raced as they approached the entrance. "Are you sure about this?" Emma asked, glancing nervously at the shadows surrounding them. "Have to be," Daniel replied, taking a deep breath. "This is our chance to finally uncover the truth." They slipped inside the warehouse, the scent of damp wood and rust filling the air. In the distance, muffled voices echoed, growing louder as they approached a set of heavy doors. Daniel's palms were sweaty as he felt the weight of the moment bearing down on him. Amelia nodded toward the door. "That's where they'll be. We need to be quiet and listen. If we can gather enough evidence, we can expose them." As they pressed their ears against the door, Daniel strained to hear the conversation unfolding within. It was a mix of hushed voices, filled with tension and urgency. "I don't care about your family's legacy anymore," a man growled. "We need to deal with the Blake kid before he gets in our way." Daniel's heart raced. They were talking about him. "I thought we could keep him quiet," another voice replied, laced with frustration. "But if he's digging around, we might need to take more drastic measures." A chill ran down Daniel's spine. "We have to get out of here," he whispered, panic rising within him. But before they could retreat, the door swung open, revealing a group of men, Marcus among them. Daniel's breath caught in his throat as he realized they had been caught. "What do we have here?" Marcus sneered, his eyes narrowing as he stepped forward. "Eavesdropping, are we?" "Let's go," Daniel urged, grabbing Emma and Amelia's hands. They turned to run, but it was too late. The men surged forward, blocking their escape. "You're not going anywhere," Marcus said, a twisted grin on his face. "This is just the beginning for you, Daniel." As chaos erupted, Daniel's instincts kicked in. He pushed Emma and Amelia behind him, ready to fight for their lives. "Stay close," he shouted, adrenaline surging through him. The warehouse erupted into a whirlwind of movement as Daniel fought against the men surrounding them. He could feel the stakes rising, the fear transforming into a fierce determination to protect Emma and uncover the truth. But in the midst of the struggle, a shot rang out, a deafening crack that echoed through the warehouse. Daniel froze, his heart racing as he turned to see Marcus holding a gun, the barrel pointed directly at him. "Enough!" Marcus bellowed, his voice booming over the chaos. "You think you can just walk in here and disrupt everything? You don't understand what you're dealing with." Daniel's breath caught in his throat as he faced the man who had haunted his family's past. "I know exactly what I'm dealing with," he said, his voice steady. "You're nothing but a coward, hiding behind a facade of power." The tension in the room escalated, and Daniel could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions any longer. "You're wrong, if you think you can." The standoff in the warehouse hung heavy in the air, the tension palpable as Daniel faced Marcus, his heart racing. With Emma and Amelia behind him, he took a step forward, determination hardening his resolve. "You're not going to intimidate me anymore," Daniel said, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "This ends now." Marcus laughed, a harsh sound that echoed against the warehouse walls. "You think you can take me down? You have no idea who you're dealing with." Before Daniel could respond, Amelia seized the moment. "You're not invincible, Marcus. The truth is coming out whether you like it or not." With a swift movement, she reached for her phone and activated a recording app. The sound of the recording clicking on seemed to shift the dynamic in the room, a tangible shift in power. Marcus's expression faltered, revealing a crack in his facade. Daniel felt a surge of courage. "You've spent too long hiding behind lies and intimidation. We have evidence of your wrongdoings, and it's only a matter of time before the authorities catch up to you." In that moment, the men surrounding them seemed uncertain, glancing at Marcus for guidance. Daniel seized the opportunity, pushing further. "Your reign of terror is over. You can't silence us anymore." A flicker of fear crossed Marcus's face, and for the first time, Daniel sensed he was gaining the upper hand. "You're bluffing," Marcus spat, but his bravado wavered. "No, I'm not," Daniel replied, his voice stronger. "You think your connections will save you? This is a new era, and we're not afraid to fight back." As the tension escalated, the distant sound of sirens grew louder, echoing in the distance. It was the sound of justice drawing near, and it sent a shiver of realization through Marcus. "You think they'll believe you?" Marcus sneered, but the uncertainty in his voice was undeniable. "They'll believe us because we have the truth on our side," Daniel declared, stepping forward with renewed confidence. "And that's something you can never take away." Just then, the warehouse doors burst open, and police officers flooded in, their presence commanding and decisive. "Put your hands where we can see them," one officer shouted, pointing his weapon at Marcus. The room erupted into chaos as officers moved to apprehend Marcus and his associates. Daniel felt a rush of relief as the weight of fear began to lift. Emma and Amelia exchanged glances, their expressions reflecting a shared sense of triumph. As the officers took control of the situation, Daniel turned to Emma, gratitude swelling in his chest. "We did it. We actually did it." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I knew you could." With Marcus in custody and the truth about his family finally coming to light, Daniel felt a sense of liberation wash over him. No longer shackled by fear or secrets, he was free to chart his own path. Months later, Daniel stood on the steps of his family's estate, the sun shining brightly above. The old house, once a symbol of his family's dark past, had been transformed into a community center dedicated to helping others break free from the shadows of their own lives. Emma stood beside him, her hand entwined with his. They had grown closer, bound by their shared experiences and the truth that had brought them together. "We really did it, didn't we?" Emma said, her voice filled with warmth. "Yeah, we did," Daniel replied, a smile spreading across his face. "And it feels incredible." As they looked out at the community gathering, Daniel felt a sense of purpose. He had taken the secrets of his past and turned them into a force for good. The weight of his family's legacy had shifted from one of shame to one of hope. "Are you ready for this?" Emma asked, her eyes shining with excitement. "More than ever," he said, determination flooding through him. "This is just the beginning." In the journey of self-discovery, sometimes it takes unraveling the truth to find freedom. Daniel Blake learned that the past doesn't have to define the future. It can become a catalyst for change and growth. By facing the secrets that haunted him, he found the strength to forge a new path, one filled with purpose and connection. If you've enjoyed Daniel's journey and the unexpected twists along the way, consider sharing this story with others who may find inspiration in the power of truth and resilience. Subscribe for more tales of hope, courage, and transformation as we continue to explore the journeys of characters who rise from the shadows to embrace their true selves. Your support fuels the storytelling, and together we can create a community that celebrates the strength of the human spirit.